Delivered several missing items related to a court-ordered subpoena that was issued earlier this year. The Arizona State Senate will need these routers and passwords that are being withheld by Maricopa County election officials to complete the audit of the 2020 election results. So the very latest coming out of Arizona.
Okay, very good. Well, the Democrats' push to defund the police appears to not be working out so well. Take a look at the scene in San Francisco. Have you seen this video? Looters going in, organized, going into this luxury store, stealing handbags from Neiman Marcus. The city reportedly isn't prosecuting crimes like this as felonies, downgrading those to a mere misdemeanor. I don't know if that actually applies specifically to these, but that's been one of the policies now in San Francisco. And this is an approach. You see these people walking in the stores in mass, and then taking and running out. Nobody stops them. This comes as lawlessness and crime is surging in multiple cities. The Gun Violence Archive reporting up to 150 people being shot dead in at least 450 acts of gun violence across the nation this past weekend. Joining us now to discuss, Republican strategist Rory McShane and Democratic strategist Jonathan Harris. Rory, where is this going? This seems like we're in July. It's going to be a long summer if it keeps going like this, but also no end in sight to this kind of approach.
None at all. So where it's leading is, quite honestly, the Republican victory in the suburbs again, right? You're starting to see cities like San Antonio, Texas, which just struck down a defund the police ballot measure in May because they've seen what's happened in cities like San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, so on and so forth. So you're starting to see middle-class suburban communities of Latino voters, of middle-class voters, support the Republican Party because the Democrats have so ridiculously tied themselves to this incomprehensible, insane movement.
Jonathan, attacks on police surging 91% from 2020 to 2021, with 150 officers shot, 28 officers killed by gunfire, and 51 officers shot in ambush-style attacks. What do you think needs to happen to end this?
I mean, those are tragedies. These are obviously dangerous jobs. So to some extent, it comes with the territory, but obviously horrible tragedies. When I look at the data that I'm seeing about the gun violence, for me, and maybe this just comes from my vantage point on this side of the aisle ideologically, but this is more of a call for gun control than anything else for me. I mean, you were seeing these. You had last summer, you had Brian Kemp having to call out the National Guard because of gun violence. There, you were seeing shootings. I think 4 children were killed in Norfolk, Virginia, over the July 4th weekend. So this seems less to me about parties necessarily, and just the fact that the U.S. leads in civilian gun ownership in the world, and that multiple studies have shown multiple studies. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to ask you, the pictures that we were showing of those people robbing Neiman Marcus, running out, I don't see any guns there.
Right. And I mean, I think the reality is theft and crime and these kinds of things, none of those things are new. And if they are tied to cities trying to avoid more police violence, then they're going to have to see what is working and what isn't working. But I know that when you're seeing police killing, I forget what the actual numbers are, but I think 900 people roughly a year are killed by police. So I think if cities are trying, densely populated areas are trying different approaches to bring those numbers down, we have to see what works and what doesn't. But I just happen to see the correlation between America leading in civilian gun ownership and gun-related violence that's happening all over the country.
A lot
Democrat
of the
areas and Republican.
Yeah, a lot of the Democratic leaders, though, who have defunded police are now discovering that didn't work. Let's take a look at some of the funding that they took away. Just New York, $1 billion. Los Angeles, $150 million. San Francisco, Oakland, Washington, D.C. You know, Rory, so obviously defunding the police wasn't the answer.
Yeah, absolutely not. It's very, very simple. And like you just said, none of the people in the video we just watched of San Francisco had guns. The solution is businesses and jobs. A job is the single greatest crime deterrent. When people have jobs, they don't have the impetus to commit crime. They have something more tangible to lose than when they commit crime. Business and capital follow the path of least resistance. Businesses don't move to cities that are plagued with crime. A handbag store doesn't open in a neighborhood where people can run in, steal all of the handbags, stealing the business owner's life savings, and then run out. When Rudy Giuliani took over New York City, he said, I don't care about social programs, I don't care about education, I don't care about jobs, I don't care about business. If we eliminate the violent crime, then all of that will follow, and that's exactly what happened. They drove down violent crime, businesses came back, property taxes revenues increased, therefore more money for teachers in the schools, the education got better, more people came to New York. If you can't stop violent crime, you don't have a city.
That's true. Well, Roy and Jonathan, thank you both, as always, for joining us. We appreciate it. And we'll be back with more of American Agenda after this.